What up, Groomies? Tonight's conversation is going to be a little different. We're talking about something most people think about at some point in their lives, but not everyone actually understands and that is legacy. Our guest, our guest tonight is Debbie Simmons, and she helps people build a legacy in a way that goes beyond money or success. We're going to dive into what legacy really means, why it matters, and how someone can actually start building one while they're still alive. Debbie, welcome to the show and welcome to Neighbors.
Hey, I'm glad to be here with you guys.
I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us about, building our legacy, and building our family names and building wealth for that lasts generations,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
I think one of the most interesting things is that a lot of us, when we hear the word legacy, we just think of like money that we leave for people when we die. That's what
Yeah,
we think.
and I was just about to ask you when you say you help people build legacy, what does that actually look like in real life? Like what is legacy in general?
Great. Okay. Well, let me back up just a little bit for you and
Sure.
kind of give you an idea of why my view of legacy is so much bigger. Okay. In my story and in all of our stories, there is sometimes some pain. And so mine had some pain, and
Yeah.
it included holding my quads as they died in my arms when
Yeah.
they were born early. Okay. And I remember that night in the hospital going, eternity matters. Everything's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
And I knew that from that moment on, I wanted to live with purpose. And so I became very focused on, figuring my way through my grief, but also going, what can I do to be an impact? And here's what I believe: we will all leave a legacy. Okay, every one of us. And the question is whether you or I would like to write our legacy. And the
True.
legacy is simply what people are going to say about us when we're gone. Okay. So do I, like, for me, I was like, I want to make a difference. And so the best way for us to be able to influence what people say or what is left in the end is we have to start living our legacy now. So
I
what
got you.
is it that you want to be remembered for? What is it, do you want to be remembered that you're a millionaire and you left your kids $5 million? Great. But is that all there is?
Yeah.
Or do you want to be remembered as a person who made a difference? And so in my story, obviously children were important. And so we ended up adopting. And so adopting, 9 children and changing the trajectory of their lives
Yeah.
is a legacy building move, right? And then I started a nonprofit to help families. And I'm going, okay, if I do this right, I've been doing it for like 15 years, it impacts thousands of people. How do I figure out how to transition it to someone that will lead after me? Because wouldn't it be cool if I get to heaven and I'm going, look, that's another person served by that ministry, right? That I
Yeah.
left. And I'm like, that's
That's
super cool,
that's
right?
super dope. Because
Yeah,
because your name is rippling through time and your effect is still being felt.
right. Yeah. And so a lot of us, what happens to a lot of us is life moves so fast that we're just trying to just survive, like get
Yeah.
through the day, do the next thing, and everything like that. And what I do is I'm kind of a force interrupter, and I go, I need you to think. I need you to stop running and think about what your future looks like. What do you want, for your children when you leave? What kind of things do you want to pass on to them? What do you want to do business wise? What do you want to do ministry wise? What do you want to do in your community? And to go, what is your unique purpose for being here? And if we
That's
could
so
all,
true.
yeah, and if we could all find our unique purposes and do them now, we'd have great legacies to leave, and we would have great impact now in the
No,
present.
I get that. And do you see like with a lot of people that you help build these legacies that they're always on the run or trying to like chase the next thing that they don't really think about slowing down?
Yeah, well, I mean, heck, I could just look in the mirror and talk to myself, right? Because I'm like going, you need to slow down, girlfriend. And, when I think about being a CEO of a large nonprofit and I need to be envisioning kind of where the future's going, I got to get in space where I can be quiet
Yeah.
and have time for my head to stop like processing 100 miles an hour or have these disruptions and stuff like that. So, yes, we have less and less and less time to think. I think my husband was talking, we were talking to someone the other day, and he goes,
Yeah.
you used to have a lot of time to think because, like, when my grandparents grew up, in order for them to go to the neighbor's house, it was, 3 miles down the road, and you were going with no cell phone,
Yeah.
maybe somebody to walk with you, but you had a lot of time to observe the world, think about life, talk to yourself, whatever, and just process. The phone has made that, for the most part, impossible now for a lot of us.
No, that's absolutely true. Modern society now is moving at such an exponential pace that we we're seeing the effects of it because everybody's saying time is moving faster. But
Mhm.
if you think about it, time is moving at the same pace. But now that we have so much things to preoccupy our time with, that it's always moving. You know what
Yeah,
I
and
mean?
you have information overload and you pick up stress and worry because you got all it's just like,
All the
and
time,
so
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah, 24/7 if you want it.
Yep. So like, is legacy something that is built with purpose, or like can it happen also unintentionally?
Well, I would say, hey, you know what? I already told you we're gonna all leave one.
Yep.
So it can just happen, right? Whatever
True.
happens, I get to the end of my life and they go, "Oh, she was a nice chick." Or I go, "Oh, okay. I, help these 9 children figure their way in the world and their lives are radically different." And the grandbabies and all that stuff I get to participate in, everything in that line is radically different. Building the ministry, radically different. Lives are
Yeah.
impacted, and so all of this is intentionality, right? And I really think, um, the things that we really get excited about in life are not the things that we do for ourselves. It really truly is what the things we do for others.
It's good.
And build stuff that lasts beyond us, right? And that's the stuff that, gets you really excited. And so I'm going, if you all you're doing is like running your rat race, I bet you might be sitting around going, is this really all there is?
True. True. I
You know,
completely get that.
yeah,
Because I don't want to say it's beneficial, but it feels good to help other people.
sure.
It
Yeah.
feels good to help other people, even if it's something minor or something major that impacts their lives. You know what I mean? And the thing about it is, like, now that society is at a point where all this information is coming to us at crazy rates, social media affecting the way we think and how we have our outlooks on life. Everybody's thinking me, me, me. But at the end of the day, you could do everything you want for yourself and not feel fulfilled. But if you help a person with something super minor, that may make your whole entire week. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or like, just think about it. How many people stop and open a door for someone anymore?
True.
Or just say hi.
Or even say thank you, because I'm from New York City, so people don't have the best table manners, I would say. So
Yeah.
even when you hold the door for somebody and they don't even say thank you, like, even that one thank you is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really interesting. It really stands out. And it's in the nonprofit world, one of the things I always try and make sure that we do is say thank you to people who give money to us, right?
Yeah.
And I will tell you, there's study after study after study that people do not get thanked by the organizations that they give to. And when we do it, it like stands out. That's sad, right? Because
Yeah.
we should be saying thank you way more than we are. We should always be grateful. And I mean, I can think of times when someone's opened the door for me and I was like, thank you so much. You made my day. You were nice. And I have this, load I'm carrying and you offered to help me. That was so sweet. And it makes it totally fills my love cup. And, hopefully it gives them a good feeling, like you said, to go, yeah, I helped make the world a better place for her today.
No, I get that, and it's like we need a lot more. We need a lot more. What's the? It's not courtesy. We need a lot more courtesy for everybody. And
Hmm.
like simple, simple things like hello, thank you, please, excuse me. Those go a long way. You know what I mean? And we don't see enough of that nowadays because everybody's like hyper focused on themselves.
Yes. And so, yeah, we have to get past ourselves, right? And the world, unfortunately, the world doesn't rotate around me, right? It's
Mm.
bigger than that. And so I need to keep that perspective. When my kids were growing up, they would think the world rotated around them. I'm like, dude, that's not how this works. so,
But the home world revolves around them, though. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
good.
that's what they think. And I'm like going, dude, you got a rude awakening coming now. Go do your laundry.
So, so what are like some of the big like misconceptions that people usually have about like legacy and like building that like name for themselves?
Oh, I think you know what most of us think? I think most of us think it's just money, okay? And I'm going, I'm probably not going to be a multimillionaire, so I don't really need to worry about that.
True.
Okay, that's probably one of the big things. And then I think the other thing is, I I think we just don't know how to value ourselves and the contribution that we could make. And so maybe people haven't put a dream in front of us.
Yeah.
Like I have a little friend that is doing this walking thing with me, and it's we walk, we read a certain part of the Bible, and then we walk an hour each day. I mean, a mile each day for 40 days, and we're about halfway through it. And I was like thinking about her, and I'm like, you know what? I really got to challenge her to, because she's a teenager. I said, I would
Yeah.
challenge her to see about making this into a little business and encouraging teenagers and young college students to do this. Because it would be a great way for her to have an impact,
True.
right? And to maybe make a little money, but people would be healthier, people would be in the Bible, it'd be good, right? And so I'm going, that's not even on her radar.
Yeah.
Okay, she's not even thinking like that. So we need people in our lives that are going to help us see things that we could be, that could make an impact, because I'm sitting there going, okay, you can do this, and you're the kind of girl that can learn how to build this business, but you can also be the one who gets out there and encourages people to do this. And wouldn't that be a great next step in your impact and your leadership? But she's not seeing that yet because I haven't said anything to her yet, but I'm going to get her. But I want to paint a picture for her and give her an opportunity and be willing to partner alongside her, so that she can stretch and grow. Because just think, if she could do this little thing, and have impact, then she will, one, think bigger herself as she continues to grow, but
True.
also has the potential to have way more impact in life over time than I could, because she started way younger than I did.
That's
And so
true.
I think that, even our kids can do this. Can we, help our kids understand what kind of impact players that they want to be and that they can be?
No, I get that.
Yeah.
And
So I
also, and
go
and
ahead.
also, your teenage friends idea is also a great social circle thing as well because
Yeah.
it pulls away younger people away from their phones and actually into the real world.
Yeah, and it was funny because we were sitting and she was talking to me, and there was a couple of her friends around me, and I said something about what we were reading or whatever, and some of the friends go, "We'll do that," and I'm like, you should do this, girlfriend. I'm like,
Oh
we can do
yeah,
this.
why not?
It'll be good. And so I just hadn't got to her yet to plant the seed, and I will. But that's I go. We all need people like that in our lives to
True.
help us and to encourage us and to challenge us because I think we just don't know because we just don't know. And so, the question for you and I might be, who are our five closest relationships that we have? And we can tell a lot about who you're going to be in 5 years based on who you're hanging with. So,
Yeah.
are you hanging with people that are going to challenge you and encourage you to do more, be more, impact more? Who's those people in your life? And
No, definitely.
if you don't have at least one, you better find one because you're going to miss out on a lot if you don't.
No, I get that. I get that, and I see that a lot in my own personal life because I have a couple of people that refuse to let me slack. They'll just even though, and it's the funniest thing. Is it really truly is the funniest thing? And I love my friends, love my family, but like my closest friends, you know, he's not really doing much for himself. But when it comes to me, he'll be like, "Nah, you're gonna get to work. You're not gonna slack off. You're gonna make sure you do this, bro." And it's like, I was like, "How are you challenging me to step up, but you're not stepping up yourself?" And it's like this conundrum. I have him, love him to death. He's like my brother, but it's like this crazy conundrum I have with him.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, I mean, you want those kind of people, right? That will
Yeah.
challenge you, but you hope that you can the good thing is I have a feeling as you continue to grow, you're going to drag him with you.
Oh yeah,
And
yep.
hopefully he
Kicking and
will get
screaming,
yeah,
kicking and screaming until
hopefully
he gives
he'll
up.
get some momentum though. And I think about that little girl. She was hesitant to start doing this with me, and I was like, "Come on, we can do this." And the first few days, she was like, "Ah," and I said, "The Bible says we got to do everything without grumbling and complaining. So we got to get this. We got to get her
Gotta
act together, girl."
get this walk on, baby.
Yeah, but I was grumbling and complaining too, so I was talking to myself too. But who are the people who are challenging us, right? And
Yeah,
encouraging us and teaching us to be, when I started a nonprofit, I didn't know what I was doing. So I was looking for people that could teach me and challenge me and help me figure my way. And that's what we got to do. And, I think the whole thing about legacy, it's just like anybody who listens to this,
yeah.
you can't unknow the information now. Now you know. And
Now you
now
know.
you have to choose what you do about that, but and a lot of times we just do the best we can with what we have because we don't know any better. So now we know. And how do we do it? That's the big deal next.
No, and it's true. I definitely see where you're coming from because a lot of people, when it comes to themselves, they don't see a bigger picture. Like they'll see one single flower instead of a bouquet, where other
Hmm.
people will see you as a bouquet instead of that one single flower.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
the craziest thing about like human psychology that I've recently been learning and seeing it in my own life. Like your journey is not going to be that one path. It's going to be multiple paths, multiple turns. You're going to have your dips, your ups, your downs, but the thing is to keep going and just keep striving for more. And you're going to have people that are going to walk with you on that path, and you're going to have people that take a different path from you, and that's okay.
Yeah. And I think, on our journeys, because life is a journey and we need to fall in love with the journey, is, figure out my next best step, take it, and then, doors will open or close and keep going, take the next best one. And if we just do that over and over and over again, then we'll get way down the road because we kept taking the next best step that we could think of. And that is how life is, made and how we become successful at things is just keeping on. Every day do I do a good best step? No, sometimes I do a backward step, but I
Yeah,
get up the next day and I'm going, what's the next best thing I can do?
that's
And let me figure out what it is and let me do it. And if you're struggling, if you have someone listening that is struggling with, like after I lost the boys, the next best step might be getting out of bed, brushing my teeth, walking around for 15 minutes, and then getting back in the bed. But it was positive motion. And I have people that were encouraging me and keeping me walking that way, that were helping me along the way.
No, I get that. I get that. And what I'm seeing here is that with legacy comes motion. If
Mhm.
I'm correct, and it's not really about wealth. I would say it's more about impact. Am I kind of on the correct path here?
Yes, for sure. And now it can include wealth, right?
Yeah.
Because wealth is definitely a piece of it. But I think when we say wealth, that's a very small piece compared to what it could be, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I get you on that. And hold on, my notes because I had something good here. Um, Have you all right, when it comes to like wealth and legacy, and I wanted to dive into this because it's a common yeah, I'm seeing that it's a big misconception that people believe that the ultra wealthy and multimillionaires are the ones who leave their legacies. But we constantly see people that even if it's just like a local person, they
Mhm.
leave an impact on a large number of people. So
Mhm.
is so when it's wealth versus impact, like how does that weigh out?
Oh, for me, it's always impact.
Yeah.
Wealth is just a bonus. I mean, it's great if I mean, but think about it. There's lots of people who make lots of money, who leave lots of money to their children and did no good for the world, just made money, fist over fist, and they have wrecked their families. They have divorce, they have all these things. And I'm going, yeah, they left money, but
Right.
they missed a wonderful opportunity to leave an impact. And I think most of us desire to be people of significance, from that, and that is where that forward motion impact. And so I go, where have you been planted? And where can you make impact? I had, in my life, I did not. My grandparents were passed away by the time I was kind of born because my parents were in big families, and so I never really had much of a grandmother. And a lady whose son played football for my father just loved people, and so she kind of adopted us. So she became my grandmother. Okay, and I will tell you, I learned more from her than most people in my life about how to live, how to suffer, how to have joy in suffering, and how to have an impact, even though she was in a wheelchair, had multiple sclerosis, and she was one of the most joyful people I know. I am profoundly impacted by that for the rest
And
of my life.
and when it comes to impact, right? Does it matter like the amount of people that you actually impact, or can it be like just a select few, like family members, like your adopted grandmother?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going. This. I think our problem is if we say there's a grading scale and you don't really have a good legacy unless you touch 100 people,
Yeah.
that's then and you flunked unless you did, that's terrible. We don't want to think about it that way. We want to think about where we're planted and who who we can influence and impact. What good can we do with the skills that we have, with the education that we have, with the money that we have, with the influence that we have to impact our world for good? And if that is you and you're a mom and you're at home with two little ones, what a responsibility to impact these kids for good. And, this is the season, and this might be all you can do because they're both under 5, and it's very time consuming, right? But what a heritage, what a legacy you can leave through these two kids. And then as they're older, maybe you have an opportunity to impact more. Maybe you start impacting younger mothers, or something like that. But, in your season where you are, what is it that we can do that will make this world a better place and impact people for eternity?
I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
And when it comes down to it, what made you want to help people build their legacy? Like what was that driving force? And like, can you give us like a couple of like stories behind that? A couple of success stories?
Well, I will tell you, one of the things I told you is that, I was significantly impacted by the fact that I held those boys as they died, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and realizing that I needed to make my life count. I needed to be a person of influence and impact. And ever since that day is that's been the target, right? Okay. And I go, I want to continue to do that until I can't do that anymore. Right.
I got you.
And that's been, 30 plus years. Okay. And so I just started doing what little I could at the time. And the reason I love to help people see that in themselves is because I believe we just miss it and we don't know. And so me educating or me challenging or me, just walking alongside people is just a wonderful opportunity. And so I love to see people bloom into the people that they're supposed to be. Uh,
Nice.
and and I love it. And if someone goes on and they're way more successful than me, I'm like, so be it. But I mean, like, I can just tell you, one time my husband and I had the opportunity for a young man who had moved here to go to college from China, and he ended up without a place to live. And so, however it happened, where we were at the time, I let him move in with us. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. And he lived with us about 2.5 years. Okay. And it was like he was 21, but he had in the United States, he acted like about a 15-year-old, and he didn't know how to drive and he didn't know all these things. And so it was like raising a teenager. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I didn't have kids at the time. So we raised him up for 2.5 years, invested in him, poured into him. He's a multimillionaire now. And and so that time we had with him was fun, and it was hard at the same time, but it was our opportunity to build into him and pour into him and mature him and get him ready, because he had way more impact in the social media kind of world and online spaces that we create business wise and stuff like that. And I'm like, he's a genius guy, right?
Yeah.
And so I go, how cool is that we got, to participate in that? Or, I think a lot of times when I'm working with people, we are looking at like spiritually how they're doing
Yeah.
and how they're growing in that. And a lot of times they don't believe that they can do certain things. Like, I don't know if I could ever go work in children's ministry, or I don't know if I could ever be good enough to do that. And I'm like, okay, why not? And what are you afraid of? And then, once we can deal with what you're afraid of, then let's talk about being brave and courageous. Because, the anxiety that you get with trying something new and the excitement that you get, those feelings are the same for the person who runs and the person who steps forward in courage.
I get that.
Okay. So your feelings are all the same. The intensity of it, one just says, I'm doing it anyway. Right. And so, what can I do to, help you see and help you figure your way as you get ready to tackle this? And we think about it like we have wonderful opportunities with our kids to be the person that puts seeds in them to help them figure their way. And I love that with my children. And sometimes my children have gotten out of the house and they have made bad choices, right? And I'm like, it's not too late. We
It's
can
not
start
so late.
over.
Of
We can
course.
start over. We can dig ourselves out of this hole, and I'm here to help you do it. And let's go. And, so we need all that in our lives. So those are just different ways that we as individuals can make an impact when we think maybe there's nothing we can do. But I'm going, no, there's a lot. We just have to stop and look.
I get that. I felt that one. I felt that one in my soul right there. But
Mm,
do you all right with like the people that you've impacted, like, and by FYI, I think everybody should have a person like you in their corner because you're absolutely amazing. Besides that, but besides that, like, do you see like the people that you've impacted, like, how can I say it, like that they once they you've helped them, or like You gave them that motivation that they started to like open their eyes more to their own potential.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. So, like, I love to watch, like, in our nonprofit, we often work with young ladies who maybe find themselves pregnant and they don't know what to do. And they're
Mhm.
struggling to figure their way forward. And we bring people alongside them to help them see because they're so overwhelmed and they can't possibly see their future. So it's like, okay, your pregnancy doesn't have to end you going to college. You just need to think differently. Let's think differently. Or maybe they're homeless and they need a place to live. So we have a maternity home that they can live in for up to 18, 24 months as they go through their pregnancy. And, one of our goals is to come alongside of them and go, okay, what is it that you need? What about education? What about material assistance? What about this? And to help you because all we can't go where we've never been, right? And
Mm.
so you and I can't figure our way there unless we've got somebody helping us. So we're either really good at asking questions or we stumble around. So these girls need these older ladies like investing in them. And then what are we watching them do? We're watching them have their babies and we're celebrating with them and we're watching them get a medical assistance license or a hair care, license or this, license. And then they're holding a job and they're getting, an associate's degree or whatever. And it's just exciting. And they're learning how to take care of that baby and they're turning their life around and that child's life around. That is powerful, right? And we've been
Extremely.
doing this for 15 years. I'm going, some of these kids are taller than me now. And I'm like, that's super cool,
It's
and
amazing. It's amazing.
yeah, and I'm going, hey, and that mom was basically, when she came to us, was potentially ready to end her life because she was just so overwhelmed.
No,
And
I
I'm
got
like, I need to help you see. So sometimes we need people that can help us see when we can't see.
I got that. And what the main thing that is reflecting, well, at least that I'm getting here, is like people only see their a certain perspective.
Mhm.
And when you have somebody who's caring and loving and doesn't come in with like that negative or that judgmental energy, and they just sit down and talk to them, they could have them see a different perspective and see, okay, cool, the grass is greener on this other side of this fence, and you can
Mhm.
make it happen.
Yeah, I'll tell you one of my favorite ones is I used to do quite a bit of prison ministry work and
Mm.
went into the units where there were some bad dudes. Okay. And I remember being in this one unit this one time and we had, I had brought some volunteers in and they were leading a Bible study. And I was just observing that day. So I was sitting over on the side and I remember some of the volunteers were sitting in the back and there was like three or four of them across. And in the middle of them, one of the offenders was sitting in the middle of them. Okay. And his name was Andreas. And anyway, after the volunteers left, I told Andreas, I said, one day that's going to be you. Just like these guys, you're going to be on the outside and you are going to be sharing about God and you're going to be these things. I just said that was so crystal clear to me.
Yeah.
And he's going, I can't, I only dare to dream that. Right. And I'm like going, I'm just telling you. And anyway, he's been out for about 10 years now and is doing really well and is my friend on the outside. And he's doing that. And I'm so proud of him. But I'm like, I just see it. And I'm like, it was just enough to plant the seed to say there is more. Don't just be defined by your circumstance. There is more.
Do
And
you
you are worth more.
I get that. I felt that. And do you find that a lot of people, because of certain circumstances, that they don't dare to dream or they don't dare to like go beyond what their environment like holds for them?
Of course, because you know what? Our brain is wired to do the same thing that's kept us safe. So even if it's a bad situation we're in, our brain's not going to think, let's go try this other thing, because whatever this other thing is, in my brain, it feels like danger.
True.
This new thing. Okay. Even though it might be 100% good for me, right? My brain's going, oh no, this is like exercise. Exercise is good for me. But my brain goes, oh no, we're too tired. We're too tired. We don't want to go do
Okay.
that. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, I
so
get you. I get you.
my brain hijacks me and holds me back until I get it wired differently, that teaches it, oh, exercise is actually good for me. Right. And
Yep.
so we're never going to go do the better things because our brain is going to try and keep us in the same place. So that's why we need people to help us, to push us, to challenge us, to bring us along. Is that, we can't see, unless we're just a very determined person, how to overcome that. Right. And we may not even think about it because we go, oh, that's just me. That's just the way it's always going to be. And, but I'm going, no, it doesn't. Why does it have to be that way? And you need people that will do that for you.
No, that's 100%. That's 100% true, because you need people. Like, it's like the saying goes, yeah, and I'm just taking the term. It takes a village to raise a child,
Hmm.
right? But if you really think about it, throughout our whole lives, we're learning. So we're
Hmm.
still learning from that village, and we're still taking in information from other people and people that are able to guide us. And yet
Yeah.
again, you said it all the time. You said it throughout the whole conversation that we don't always see what we can be. We only see that one route or what's safe to us.
Right. I mean, and so like if you grew up in inner city, wherever, and you never traveled 15 miles outside the city, your viewpoint of what life looks like is
Mm.
very different, right? I mean,
Yep.
and to go and because I think about my children come from trauma backgrounds, they come from poverty, they come from all kinds of things. And to come live in my home is like, oh, my eyes are like different. I can go to college, I can do this, I can do that. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
this is what you can do. But they had never really seen that as an opportunity, right? So this is us walking together.
Yeah. And we as humans need people to walk with us. And yet again, like I said, you're phenomenal, and everybody needs someone like you in their lives. Straight up. Because it is what I'm saying. What I've, throughout my life, I've experienced, ups and downs, and I don't come from the best neighborhood.
Mhm.
But, through the help of like family, I was able to, overcome certain obstacles. And, now I'm here. Now I'm trying to pursue this media thing and this podcasting thing. And before, I didn't think I would be able to do this.
And now you're
No,
doing it.
now I'm doing it. Now I'm
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. And can you take it to the next level? Sure. And so,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes we need little breaks to like recover a little bit. And then it's like, okay, what's the next mountain?
Yep. And and that's the thing about it. People need to get up on it and just keep climbing. And even if you take a little fall, just get back up and keep climbing.
Sure. Well, that's the adventure of life, I think. And if we can
Yeah.
fall in love with that, it'll be a good journey.
Yeah. Because and do you see that like a lot of people are more fixated with the destination or the end goal versus like their journey and experiencing that?
Well, this is me, and I'm really funny about this, but I have a really good friend, and he's like, I just want to get there. I just want to get there. And I'm like, dude, the journey never ends.
Yeah.
Not until you die. I said, because when you get there, there'll be something new to do. So we have to keep going. And he's like, oh, I got to fall in love with this the rest of my life. And I'm like, yeah, but this is what we've got to learn to appreciate is the journey, and to fall in love with it, because it gives us such a wonderful, wonderful way to make an impact.
I got that. Do you see that people tend to try to start building their legacy later on in life?
No, I'd say most people don't even think about it. So that would definitely be later.
Definitely.
But I mean, I just think that we just don't think about it. So if you don't think about it, at best you'll start late. A lot of people probably start thinking about it like when they're thinking of, okay, my children are getting older. I need to write a will. What am I going to do? What other impact can I have? They start, and when they start doing those types of things, they maybe start asking
Mm,
more questions. But I'm going, why miss those early years, right?
yeah,
Um, live intentionally.
I get that. I feel that. So when you live intentionally, right? Is it when you live intentionally, do you feel that life becomes a lot more joyous and you kind of live on the more positive side of the spectrum?
I choose to, because the negative side is I'm like, that doesn't sound like fun.
You know,
So I'm like, and if I am grateful, if I'm grateful that I woke up this morning, because it's pretty darn amazing that my body worked and it still breathed through the night and it can tell itself what to do. So when I wake up, everything still works. I'm like, that's pretty
all
darn
right.
amazing. I'm like, everything else today is a bonus, and if I
I
make it
feel
through the
that.
day, that's great. But we have no guarantee of tomorrow, right? And so I go, let's make the most of what we're doing now while we have the chance. And hopefully we'll be here a long time, but you never know, right? What may happen.
True on that. And do you see that a person's mental state or a person's mind state is like the most important factor here, where like they could go from not believing in themselves to like saying, hey, I could conquer the world or I could master this skill.
Well, I think first of all, I would probably say the number one thing that affects us is what we put in, what we allow in or put in.
Yeah,
Okay. So if I walk around talking to myself like I stink as a mom, I'm not doing enough, am not worth anything. If these are the words that I play in my head, or I say them, then it's going to affect how I live my life, right?
yeah,
If I'm listening to music that's full of junk like that, then I'll probably be depressed. I probably will view the world in a very bad way and not think there's no hope for the world. And when I do, I will approach life a certain way. If
I
I
get
if I if I approach life from the standpoint of I am I am worth something, I am valuable, I can make an impact. I am, I can see the good in people, then I look at people differently, right? And I treat the world a different way. And I'm going to put things in my head that only cause me to think that, right? Not that there's not bad people and not that there's not been people that have not hurt me.
of course.
But I can tell you which way I'd rather live.
I get
And so I think that, our thoughts determine our emotions and ultimately determine our actions. And our thoughts are greatly influenced by what we speak and what we hear and what we see. Right. And so we get to determine what we let our mind focus on. That is our choice.
I got you, man. um, what would you tell your younger self about legacy?
Get started earlier, but I would just say, I really wish, I really wish it wouldn't have been a loss that required me to kind of open my eyes, but sometimes that's what it takes for some of us. But, I like this thought of you can be an impact player no matter your age.
Hmm.
And, I teach my grandchildren, you can make a huge difference in someone else's life, even though you're 5. And let's talk about how you do that. And I'll do it with you. And they love it. They love to do that. They love to bless people. And I'm going, we just want to make that so contagious that it lasts the rest of their lives, right?
I get that, and that's
Mhm.
beautiful. How
Mhm.
how important is family when it comes to legacy?
I would say whether or not you have family is really irrelevant to being an impact player and creating legacy. It is a bonus when we have family and we have people that, these little ones that I get to
Yeah.
invest in, that I've been blessed with. Then that's a huge responsibility for me to pour into them, lead them, and do it. I don't get any excuse. Like now, all my kids are out of my home, right? And they're adults. And I'm like, bring the grandbabies to me, because
Yeah.
I can invest in the grandbabies. Or I now have time to invest maybe in some other people that I didn't have as much time before. And so even if I don't have kids here, I still can be an impact player and invest in people's lives and things like that. So I think, it's an added blessing, and it's a big responsibility that we get when we have children. And one of the best things that we can do is figure out how to take care of our parents and our grandparents, as they, end up passing from this life to the next. When they die, is to love them and honor them well, is a wonderful legacy to leave for other people to see as we walk through that well with them. Because, sometimes they have hard things that they're dealing with, and they might not be nice, like if they have
Yeah.
Alzheimer's and stuff like that. And when people walk well alongside, and it teaches the rest of us how to do it well.
I got that. I get that. And can you leave a legacy without directly impacting people? Like, for instance, an example: Michael Jordan, right? Greatest
I'm,
basketball player of all time.
I miss that. Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
so like, can you like leave a legacy without like directly impacting people? Like, for instance, like Michael Jordan with the sneakers and being the greatest basketball player of all time, and like all kids that like pursue basketball want to be like Michael, or like you be as good
Yeah.
as him.
Well, what we say is that everybody's watching,
Yeah,
right? And when they're watching, they're learning from you. So, Michael had a wonderful, his plan was not to go out and influence all these people. His plan was to go play basketball, right?
true.
And he realized as he played basketball, oh my gosh, I have a lot of influence. This is influencing a lot of people. So I need to take that responsibility seriously. And he is one of the wonderful athletes through the years that has really handled all of that awareness that he got well. And he's been very generous and he's done a lot of things. But I mean, he always seemed to have in mind that people are watching. His mom raised him well. People are
Yeah,
watching, right? And it I how I choose and how I behave means they will either learn to do it well or they'll pick up some of my bad habits, right? And so yes, the question is we all influence people. We all do.
okay.
And when we influence people, we have the ability to make an impact. And we need to choose to be responsible about that and choose to see what a privilege and a high calling that is.
That's absolutely true. And when you have great influence, and when you start building that influence, you should be pursuing a positive way of doing it. You know what I mean? You don't want to be out here like certain like upcoming streamers and whatnot, like out here just like making a fool out of yourself and being like this practical joker. You want to like sort of make a positive energy around your name.
Yeah, I mean, I do. So, yeah. So I think it's a good idea.
It's a great idea. But Debbie, it's been amazing. It's been amazing. I always ask my all my guests this: do you have any final thoughts, words of wisdom, or a message for the roomies?
I would say, hey, you guys have great potential. Even if right now you feel like you're overwhelmed, you're depressed, you're whatever, I'm going, lean in, find people to come around you to encourage you to help you see the next step, and to just walk with you, and to know that even if today we didn't make 100 steps forward or even one, that tomorrow the sun comes up again and we get to try again. And the journey is worth it, and you are worth it. You are valuable, and it is a blessing to come alongside people and to invest in them and to work on your legacy. And it's worth the journey.
That is true. Roomies, remember, don't worry about the destination. Enjoy the journey, because your destination might change on the journey. And with that being said, peace out.